hyperdrive now.
Dai deserti arabi verso un gioiello incastonato nel mare scintillante. L'isola, sede di una cultura antica, una bellezza senza paragoni. Ma il cambiamento sta arrivando. Il caldo sta aumentando. E il fuoco non mostra pietà. Mentre nuvole di cenere raggiungono terre lontane, ma i nostri guerrieri non hanno paura. Corriamo per il cambiamento, per il futuro, per l'isola.
Hello and welcome to the NEOM Island Prix in Sardinia for round 2 of the Extreme E Championship as we travel around the planet to highlight the climate crisis that we all face.
Not only that, but to also see some incredible racing in our all-electric SUVs, the Odyssey 21. Last season there was some great drama, and now we've got a double header for you in Sardinia.
So 2 races in Sardinia, following on, of course, from our season opener earlier on this year, Saudi Arabia. Feels like a long time ago that we went racing there. Of course, the win went to Rosberg X-Racing, Johan Kristoffersen with his new teammate Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski, and now we move across to Sardinia. Jenny already said we raced here last year, and we're doing it twice this time.
Yeah, we've got 6 drivers who haven't been here before as well, so that'll add to the mix. But 2 races back to back, as you can see. One of them highlighting the issue of wildfires, and then this weekend, seagrass and blue carbon being the all-important issues we look to address.
Santa Elena then is heading across the Atlantic Ocean and down to South America. Chile for the first time, Antofagasta. Sand and gravel, the theme is minerals.
And then our final destination will be Uruguay, Punta del Este, where mud and grass will be the terrain. It'll be November the 26th and 27th. And if you need a reminder of what's happened so far, well, this is it.
The first stop on Season 2's Electric Odyssey was Saudi Arabia, as Extreme E sparked back into action with a new team and palpable anticipation. The stunning otherworldly landscape saw the drivers take on sand dunes, ruts and rocks in the hunt for the first win of the season. While in NEOM, the championship took time to highlight the importance of water in the region. Drivers helped to kickstart the area's tree planting initiative and reintroduce some native species as part of the Legacy programme. Back on course, the action was dramatic from the off, with a huge crash for Christine GZ in qualifying. The excitement continued as qualifying races were staged for the first time.
Alatia makes a pass up the inside. Oh, contact between Sainz and Alatia.
Day 2's knockout racing saw Excite Energy Racing narrowly miss out on progressing to their first final after a penalty.
That was as close as you can get.
While Timmy Hansen rolled in the Genesis Andretti United.
Oh, Hansen!
That's a massive roll for Hansen.
New entrants McLaren marked their debut with a stunning Crazy Race win.
What a drive from McLaren.
The final saw Chip Ganassi, X44, RXR, Acciona Sainz and McLaren line up to do battle for the Desert X Prix crown. Carlos Sainz led Sebastian Loeb after the first corner as the dust caused major visibility issues for the teams behind.
Massive crash, it's McLaren!
Well, that brought out the red flag, and at the restart, Johan Kristoffersen set about quickly dispatching Cristina Gutierrez before hunting down Laia Sanz to take the win.
So with a new teammate Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski, but the same car, same results, Johan Kristoffersen, the reigning champion, crosses the line to take the win in round 1.
Following a pause in the race calendar, teams and drivers have been busy testing their Odyssey 21s across the planet ahead of the double-header in Sardinia. With 2 rounds taking place in a matter of days, it's all to play for at the Island X Prix.
Well, after round 1, these are the championship standings. So Rosberg X Racing at the top of the table on 30 points. Actually, Sainz back on 18, so quite a big gap made by RXR from that first event. X44 look on 15, but there is a long, long way to go and a double header this weekend. Could well mean that gap gets closed down quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And with a double header, as you say, plenty of points on offer over the next few days. Can anyone, though, stop Rosberg X Racing from going on and winning this championship again? That's the question they'll be asking. A lot of new drivers, a lot of new pairings, so plenty of opportunities.
There sure are. We caught up with some of those drivers ahead of the action this week.
So it's the first time in this championship we come back to the same track here in Sardinia. We are in nearly desert condition. It's very, very hot and it's super dusty. So hopefully we are in front, that we don't have to eat the dust of the others.
I think they made a good preparation of the track. So we will see still some very different options on the start line. Difficult to know which one is the best.
The track is super fast this year. One of my favourite parts is the new last sector, Sector 4. It's super fast, super flowing, some jumps in there. I think, it's fun to drive on your own, but it's going to be pretty intense when we've got a lot of cars around us.
There's quite a lot of different terrains. You have 2 water splashes that we need to go through, and then we also have some really hard packed surfaces, but also we have some bumps and we have some jumps. And last year the track was changing quite a lot during the whole event. This time we're having a double header.
We know it will be an important week with 2 races. We'll have to be concentrated and to do a good job because it's the most important week of the championship.
When you finish this weekend, you will be, over 50% of the championship. So it is an important period to get everything right, to get everything correct.
Yeah, it adds a lot of pressure. That first weekend, you have to focus on leaving yourself a good car. You really hope that you keep the car in one piece so everybody can be focused on improving for the next round rather than just recovering.
So we've got new dampers on the car, so we have Fox suspension, a complete new suspension package on the front and rear. So it's a different car to watch, I think people will notice, but also to drive. It looks a little bit more like it's in its natural habitat now. It's riding the bumps a lot better, it's more predictable, we can push harder on the big jumps and drops. This was a super rough track here in Sardinia last year, so what better place to test it out?
I think that will make a little bit difference for the racing actually. I think you can be a bit more closer and more close racing and stay close to each other because the car is a little bit easier to handle.
A lot more compliant with the bumps and the jumps out on course. I think we will see less mistakes. I think we will see even tighter racing.
So the sun is scorching, it's going to be a hot one, it's going to be a dusty one, but here in Sardinia, we're ready for it, so bring it on.
So it is time to get qualifying underway for the Island X Prix round 1. As you can see, the paddock looks resplendent in the sunshine, but the sunshine, such a problem here, despite being beautiful. It has a harsh underbelly, which causes wildfires, and we are raising awareness.
Yeah, it's super hot there for the drivers. They've all been saying it was mid-30s. I mean, we're showing a track temperature of 31 degrees C today, but it is very hot, even hotter, obviously, in the cars. That's that multiple start lane. You might remember that from last year. And, of course, Cristina Gutierrez ended up buried in the rocks in the middle of a few trees after Timmy Hansen made a slightly ambitious move from right to left. Expect more of that definitely this weekend as they race to get to the whole shot first.
Yeah, the bone shaker will wake anybody up who hasn't quite had their shredded wheat this morning, and then they'll continue round towards the Continental Traction Challenge, which is always great fun.
Yeah, same place as last year, so in and out of the water splash. That's your most obvious sign of it. There is some Continental branding as well at the different waypoints. It's waypoint 10 to waypoint 16. Been a rule change on that as well. It's now both drivers in a team, their times added together. So you're not looking at one driver trying to blitz it, you're looking at both drivers needing to push. I think that's good because I reckon some drivers wouldn't have pushed last year because they wouldn't have felt they could match the top times.
Yeah, it's going to be constantly changing as well, that point, so it'll be their best time over the course of the weekend. So we'll keep an eye out for that, or even the week this week.
Yeah, I have no idea what day of the week it is. We're going racing in the middle of the week just to entertain you guys.
Yeah, it will be good. So the end's changed a little bit as well. That should and could potentially trip people up. But I tell you what, the finish line will be standing there waiting to welcome the fastest drivers out there across the course of this week. Should be a good one.
So 3 cars have already been round this morning in Q1. Remember, Q1 is individual cars running, each driver drives once. So this was Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski taking the wheel before her teammate Johan Kristoffersson. And you'll be seeing all the other cars live very shortly indeed. Jenny, Michaela was pushing hard this morning. I thought she looked really good in the car.
Yeah, the car looks really good as well. I think the pairing is obviously working, and I think with these new dampeners, the Fox suspension, they can just push it exactly where they want to push it, which is great to see, isn't it? Look at the confidence they can have.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a massive change. You could hear all the drivers a minute ago in those interviews talking about how much easier it was to handle the car, and with it being more predictable, you know, Johan said I think they'll be closer, and they will. Before, if the car kicks sideways, you risk a contact. Now they're going to know much more where it is and is not going to kick sideways. Saw someone hit that rock yesterday. I think it was At Cooper, wasn't it, who went up over the rock. So lots of places where you can come a cropper here in Sardinia.
I really like this course. I think it's great fun. There's water, there's little jumps, there's bits where you get air, there's a lot of tricky technical parts of it as well that you've really got to find your way around. And as we go through the course of the event, obviously people will get to grips with it more and more.
Yeah, both Michaela and Johan, you could just see the attitude in the car, pushing, leaning on it in corners, through bumps where maybe they wouldn't have done before. So big upgrades. There are stronger uprights on the rear of the car as well, and there are stronger steering components. So you remember last year the win was lost, wasn't it, to the Chip Ganassi squad? The win was lost with broken steering. Not so hopefully this year.
Next out the blocks, it was the Abt Cooper team with Alatia taking to the wheel first off and having to use those windscreen wipers pretty aggressively through the water stage here. And you'll see that they've got them on already, but still very difficult to see. Vision a problem.
Yeah, we saw some onboards here in the studio, and his visibility wasn't good, but look at that. Look at the way he can rotate the car. He's backing it in on the brakes over the bumps. You couldn't have done that with the previous settings on the car. So it was a great run by Alatia, but I was watching this, Jenny, and I thought this was a slightly messy changeover. So Alatia was out of the car relatively quickly, but you'll see it's super tight on the release for Utah. So we saw the whole thing earlier on, and they are actually under investigation for the switch zone as to whether or not they were speeding. So a little bit of work, I think, for them to do there to try and just have a little bit more time to chill in the switch,
yeah,
which is easier said than done.
Yeah, it's not the easiest car to get in and out of, I can tell you that much. I tried it actually last weekend on a very similar car, the American version. I was like, oh, this is harder to get in and out. Lots of penalties given out yesterday as well in the practice session. So there are plenty of obstacles out there to trip you up.
On the start line, difficult to know which one is the best.
So you can see the car coming down fast as you like. And they set a decent time, a 9:29.710 for the Abt Cooper XC team.
Yeah, it was 9:13.9 from RXR. That was the target time, wasn't it, for everyone to beat? The fastest sectors shared equally between Kristoffersson and Alatia in terms of the 4 sectors out on course. So Lance Waldridge was up next, not been feeling very well over the last few days, so he actually missed one of the pre-practice sessions yesterday. We did think Fraser McConnell might have to jump in the car. Not so, and even if he had, look at that, front right suspension collapsing, unfortunately, on a really big hit there, and Waldridge had to park it out on course.
Yeah, disappointment for the team, obviously. Championship drivers this week are Clara Anderson and Fraser McConnell, as Andrew Coley just said. But, yeah, disappointment for Lance, and Christine GZ watching on was pretty upset about how their run ended. She, of course, didn't get into the car, and the car needing a little help back. Unfortunately, nothing there.
Yeah, Lance on the radio back to the team. He did then jump out and have a look, and of course he'll have got in touch with them and said, these are the things we need to get ready to fix this. They've got Q2 later on today when they're going to go racing. So a little bit of... It's not too much damage. It's not a big job for the team, but either way, you know, not a job they wanted to do, and they're on the back foot right at the start of the weekend.
Well, Waldridge had a big crash here last time out. Yeah. They had a big crash in Saudi as well. They just need a simple session, don't they? Well, a lot of work going out and about in Sardinia. You can see here that they have been hard working on the legacy projects, and they want to leave a lasting legacy everywhere they go with Extreme E.
With a lull in the race calendar, Extreme E took the opportunity to visit their legacy projects, which aim to provide social and environmental support in each of Extreme E's current and future race locations, one of which is the state of Pará in Brazil. The team, along with number 99 GMC Hummer EV driver Sarah Price, met the farmers they are supporting with the resources and technical know-how to choose agroforestry as an alternative livelihood to cattle ranching, which is one of the biggest contributors to deforestation in the rainforest.
O cacau traz, naturalmente, já traz uma recuperação diária no sentido de fertilidade, no sentido de bioma em si, traz pássaros, traz a fauna de volta. Na questão de renda, o cacau é em torno de 5 a 6 vezes mais rentável.
In collaboration with local NGO, the Nature Conservancy, 100 hectares of cacao-based forestry has been implemented and 100 hectares of land is under restoration.
What we're doing is we're actually taking the cocoa beans out of the cocoa. This is their process. They just taught me how, and we're going for it.
Extreme E are also supporting 50 smallholder families with agroforestry training, one of whom is Anna Kelly, a young female farmer who has gained empowerment through the project, which proved particularly moving for driver Sarah Price.
We're very similar. She's a young woman. She's determined to make it in her world.
Extreme E were also joined by their resident Amazon expert, Francisco Oliveira, who forms part of the championship's scientific committee. Francisco is dedicated to advising Extreme E on the ways in which it can save our precious rainforest.
I think the summary of this visit is commitment. Commitment from the people that are living here to do the right thing. Commitment of TNC to help these people go in the right direction. Commitment of Extreme E to be part of it, to help these people to change their life in a better way. This is the kind of thing that touch deep in our hearts, that we can make a difference and everyone can make a difference. I want my daughter to be able to come to the Amazon and to see the things I did.
One day, Extreme E hopes to revisit the Amazon to put on a race and to put an even bigger spotlight on the issues the region is facing and work further with the local people.
So next car up on track will be JBXC. You can see there Kevin Hansen waiting to go off the line, fully focused. The results so far, as we hear the 15-second warning from Scott Elkin. Rosberg X Racing, almost as usual, lead the way with a 9:13.966. Then it's the App Cooper team, 17, almost 18 seconds behind. And Waldridge Racing with a DNF. But we are a go for this fourth car out in qualifying.
So Kevin Hansen, you remember last time out, came down the hill in Saudi, fully committed. It was at the end of the run, right at the finish line, and he got into that compression. Well, I spoke to him recently. He also hit a camel grass, so he reached the limit of the suspension and then pushed it a bit further when he hit the camel grass, and that was what hurt his back. So he's been a couple of weeks at Red Bull's HQ in Austria, receiving some pretty serious physio, and has described himself as 99% fit. So great to see Kevin back in the car. Nobody likes to see somebody get injured. He managed to get out of the car from him and was lying down in the switch zone, and kudos as well to everybody out in Saudi for getting him sorted and flying him home as well. He had lots of assistance from lots of people in the sport, which was great to see.
Yeah, they looked after him well, of course. As is standing, you can see from the timing, already going head to head with Arlen Kotelinski, Alatia as well. So doing a decent job out there and currently setting the fastest time in the sectors.
Yeah, Kevin was, so it's about who was in the car first, isn't it, in terms of the timing screen. So we had, as Jenny said, Kayla Arlen Kotelinski, and we saw in the previous runs when we were watching before we came on air for you guys, Alatia was super quick, wasn't he? And then Kleinschmidt lost a little bit of time on her lap compared to Kristoffersen, because Kristoffersen was in the car second. Kevin looking pretty determined, gritting his teeth a bit.
A lot of the drivers have said that they're changing their approach slightly to how an event is scheduled or how they handle the event. So being maybe slightly more considered, slightly less aggressive, and then sort of ramping themselves up as they go through the days towards the race. Now, this is the start.
Oh, Kevin, sorry, Jenny, massive air out of the waterhole there, and now he uses his hyperdrive as well. So he's going for a great time here in the Continental Traction Challenge. So add up the times of both drivers together, and that gives you the Continental Traction Challenge. And what I'm not sure about is if that, I think that can be in any session. So I think you can take the drivers' times from any session. So Kevin might do his best time now, and then you'll find that Hedda Hosas does her best time in, say, the semi-final, and you'll add those up to get it. So it's going to be a little harder for us to bring you that live.
We love a challenge.
Look at the rear end gets kicked there as well. So the exit from both the water splashes is looking tricky.
Yeah, and it did look like that was a bit of a handful, but then Hansen looked like he was absolutely committed to it and going for it. So a really decent time set. That's a 36.040. So not the fastest we've seen today, but a good time nonetheless. And using the hyperdrive in that section, really giving it some. So that'll get faster and faster, I think. Although the terrain here is hard, isn't it? There's a lot of grooves. It cuts up quite quickly and quite easily. You can just see the standing water in those bumps as well as we go down.
Similar visibility for Hansen that we mentioned with Nasser Alatia earlier on, Jenny, where you're on the onboard there, you can see the screen is quite smeared up. Note as well there that he's gone wide from what you might call the standard line, so he's gone out into looser, drier dust there and brought the car back in towards the gate, so he took a wide line to try and carry more speed through. He's plus 3.34 at the minute. That will be on, well, Alatia and Johan Kristoffersen was super close in terms of lap time, but on separate laps. Alatia went on lap 1 and Kristoffersen went on lap 2. So this is comparison to Alatia for Kevin. Very good run.
Yeah, really nice. And the slightly altered course at the end of this course, it looks a little bit different. They've just cut a little bit down and across, and you can just see he looks like he's having the time of his life in that car.
I think what's gone, Jenny, if I remember correctly, I reckon what's gone is the hill that Molly rolled on. I think, if you remember, there was a big braking zone into it. It's in the background, I reckon, on the left-hand side, and been moved across slightly. So Kevin comes down into the switch zone. So they have to get down to 40 kilometres an hour as they pass those boards there. In the background is the Santa Elena, which will be chucking the cars on in 6 days' time.
They had a lovely barbecue on there the other day to celebrate the American Independence Day.
Well, an invite to that would have been nice, wouldn't it, eh?
It certainly
Happy 4th of July to our American friends. I know we're a couple of days late, but it's an important day for them.
Day late and $1 short.
Yeah.
But I think everybody had a very nice time at the barbecue. That's the main thing. So Hansen comes in, and Hosas will get... This is her first session, proper session outing.
She did a little bit in Saudi, if you remember, but they had a problem with the power steering. Do you remember when Christine GZ had the crash and broke her ankle? They put Hedda in the following morning, but there was a problem with the car, and it had a power steering issue. So she has had a little bit of time testing with the team, but not much. So this I think is it's fair to say this is her proper debut, isn't it? Her proper competition debut.
Well, it is now because we've said it.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Plugs her comms in up on the ceiling. Belts are on, pulls them down tight. You can see the red rubber bands there to pull those up.
Quite
Young
excited.
Norwegian. Done some rallycross. Now, see, look at the amount of time they've had to think, Jenny, and this is what was missing earlier on from Alatia and Kleinschmidt. Kleinschmidt, literally, she'd barely done the belts up before she was on the buttons and launching the car out. When you don't have time to think about it, you're not able to collect your thoughts, press the limiter, the pit limiter, the switch lanes limiter, and get out. So, good job there by Hansen and Hosas to get the switch done so quickly.
Right, let's go down into the switch zone and hear from Kevin Hansen. How did it go while he was out there? Well, let's find out.
Kevin, some frustration there. How was it for you today?
Yeah, the run was okay. Pretty solid. a bit sketchy some places. Track is getting quite rough, but we messed up in the switch on, so I think we left 4 or 5 seconds early, I think. So quite disappointing.
And obviously you're coming here after that back injury in Saudi. How were you feeling out there?
Oh, it was nice. I had a huge bump on the exit of the last water splash in the traction challenge, but my back is feeling great, and I'm so happy to be back on course. You know, pushing the limits of these extreme E cars in this condition is very fun, and I'm super pleased to have done this work with Red Bull to get my back injury sorted.
Good to hear. Thanks.
Yeah, great to see Kevin back and on form. Interesting, he felt they'd gone 4 seconds early, Jenny. I felt they were waiting a long time until they went. Now, yeah, I must be honest, we weren't timing the switch. So if they went 4 seconds early, their switch was incredibly quick. As we said, Kleinschmidt literally had done a belt up and had to set off. I felt like Hosas was sitting there for 15 seconds before she went.
It's the advantage of being 21 years old.
Yeah, in and out the car in no time at all. Is it you and me? But like, oh,
my back. Yeah, they have a board down there, so they'll be able to have seen that. So we could see a penalty. I'm just looking at the race control screen. Nothing as of yet, but we'll keep you updated with that. Hedda, really handy. She started her career in 2 wheels, actually, doing motocross from the age of 15, but has progressed to cars, decided she loved them. And now look at her, centre stage, driving for Jensen Button's team, JBXE, and let's see how she does out there. A hard baptism, isn't it, when you come into a race like this?
Yeah, but she's going to get a lot of seat time this week. You know, I think it's great. She's going to be on the same course. Use a hyperdrive quite early there. I might have waited just a second or so more because you'll have a lot of wheel spin from low speed when you bring in the extra power. But, you know, fine. Aim at the same place as Kevin. Note, so they're obviously gunning for that Continental Traction Challenge immediately. At the minute, what's she down? She's 14.1 down. So Kleinschmidt was 15.7. If she gets a bit of a wiggle on here, they could stick the JBXE machine up into P2. But at the minute, I reckon they're going to be edged slightly by Kleinschmidt and Alatia.
Yeah, so you can just see coming out of there the Continental markers saying that they are in the Continental Traction Challenge zone, and they'll just go through the water and then straight out on the other side. So that is Sector 2. That is the sector that is all important for the extra 5 points. A combination of times across the weekend leads them to get the extra points.
So too much braking in some of these quick sections. This is easy for me to say, and I'm not being critical at all. I'm just pointing out the areas where Hosas can go a bit quicker. So that was a flat left. You know, you could see through the corner and it's quick. She's being quite cautious. And Jenny, bear in mind, you know, young driver, desperate for an opportunity. She can't go out and mess up. If she goes out and bins the car now, you won't get asked back again. So it's a really fine line when somebody comes into an opportunity like this. She maybe doesn't have the budget to go and, you know, spend money on whatever she wants to do. So she's been given this opportunity and she's playing it safe, and that's the right way to do it. She's got 6 days on the island. We've got 2 days of racing, today and tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday. She'll get loads of seat time, and I think this is the right approach.
Yeah, certainly nice into 21. You can see the waypoint markers. That's how they know where they're going to be going next. She is catching at the moment, and she's showing a certain level of confidence. And just as you say, that is going to grow as we go through it. And you can see they've planned out the lines they want to take. They get to go around and walk this course. That's what Christina GZ was talking about earlier, that she'd done the 7K walk on a dodgy ankle. But that's their knowledge. They choose the lines they want to take, and then it's a case of actually trying to take them, which isn't always the easiest of things, is it?
No, and as Kevin was saying, the course is starting to cut up. We'd expect that. You know, it should cut up through the entire 2 events and get to the point where on Sunday it's pretty hard work, and that's fine. You know, good. Let's give the drivers a proper challenge. But they've now got the Fox suspension to do the job. Hosas crosses the line and they go third. Lost around 15 seconds from when we were saying she was equal with Kleinschmidt on that second lap. But still, good job. Car's home. You know, look at Veloce, sorry. Veloce have already had an issue and are going to be bottom of the pile in this session. You just got to keep accumulating your qualifying points during the course of today. Try and get through to one of those semi-finals tomorrow. Remember that the odds for the semi-finals are much better of going through to the final. 2 cars go through from each semi, only 1 from the crazy race. You want to be top 6.
And it's worth noting that actually there was only a 10th in it when it came to the time separating Kleinschmidt from Hosas in Sector 2, which is the all-important Traction Challenge area. So they were very, very close in that. So considering this is her first proper meet, then she's got, I keep trying to say weekend, and in my head I'm going, don't say weekend, we're not there yet.
It's fine. It's a weekend for us. If we're racing, it's a weekend. Everybody at home, take the day off. Go have a beer and a barbecue. The weather's lovely. You know, let's get amongst it. It's the weekend. It's fine.
Okay, if you give us permission.
If we said it on TV, it's true. You know how it works.
Well, that's true.
But yeah, Hozas with a good sector time there, as you say, James. She's only a 10th off on that one. If you look at sector 3, she was only 1.9 off in there. So there are certain sectors. I suspect it's the super quick stuff where she's been a little bit more cautious. That was what it looked like when we could see the brake lights just flashing on in some of the quick corners. But definitely the right approach. And bear in mind also, the team may well have said to her, this is what we want you to do. And that's part of being a professional driver, is doing what they ask. So good effort from her. Nice to see her get out properly.
He's a bit of a professional, isn't he, when it comes to it? Carlos Sainz Sr., of course, very happy with the performance of his son.
1 minute, 1 minute.
1 minute to go until the next car is out on track, and that will be the McLaren team. But yes, Sainz just getting himself ready, and he was absolutely delighted. His son finally getting a first Formula One race win after 150 attempts. The whole family delighted.
I was actually surprised he'd had 150 races already, Carlos Sainz Jr., but yeah, amazing. Great performance by him. It was a brilliant race, wasn't it?
Ramps up quickly. Of course, he was a McLaren driver before he got the call-up from Ferrari, and it's McLaren who are taking to the track right now with Emma Gilmore first.
30 seconds.
Tanner Faust as well. They've rebuilt the car, you'll be pleased to know, since Saudi.
Yeah, Tanner got caught in the dust, had an absolutely huge shunt, and I saw some pictures on social of them rebuilding the car. It was, yeah, if you can imagine a car that's been very badly rolled in the dustiest conditions ever, I imagine about 50% of the work was with a hoover.
Yeah, I wonder if they're still finding sand in there even.
They will be. And Emma Gilmore at the wheel. So Emma, the first ever female driver for McLaren, absolutely brilliant. She's a New Zealander, as was Bruce McLaren, which is just a fantastic story. And Emma messaged me this morning basically saying, it's hot. And so hyperdrive off the line. So they obviously feel there's some time to be gained by using it there. That's interesting.
Carry the pace through. I mean, this, when they're actually racing, is going to be a very hard-fought part of the course, because you can take 4 different lines.
You know what, as well, look at that, 0.65 up. So they've just set themselves a little benchmark. This is the point where actually this might be McLaren going, do you know what, can you please try the hyperdrive off the line? We want the data to see whether or not it's going to be the call or not. They might have got loads of wheel spin there, and when they look at it later, they'll go, no, do you know what, it's not the call. So you sacrifice your traction challenge attempt on this lap to try it off the start. You know, it's a good call. It's a good call if that's what they've done.
Yeah, agreed. There's a lot of very clever people working in these teams right now, and they will all be pouring into that data and trying to work out what to do. You can see Lena Gade just down in the bottom right. Lena and Tina Gade, 2 of the most experienced engineers that you can find out there on the circuit, and they know their stuff. They know what they're doing.
Emma got into that left-hander ever so slightly early, pulled the car back out in terms of line. Brilliant rally driver, as a lot of you will be aware. Rallies at home back in New Zealand. She's able to travel a little bit more freely, but she's actually been over here in Europe quite a lot. She was at the Goodwood Festival of Speed driving McLaren F1 up the hill. F1 as in the classic road car.
Oh,
GTR,
that is a piece
I believe.
of kit.
Yeah, she absolutely loved it. And so it was great to see.
I needed much needed weekend off at that one. I would have loved to have gone to Goodwood. If you went to Goodwood, or if you've been in the past, you'll know how amazing it is an event. And a lot of the drivers here were there.
Timmy and Katie were there, weren't they? They ran up the hill, and then I believe Veloce put Jamie Chadwick in the car, didn't they?
Yeah, they had great fun going up there, and it was nice to see Jamie back in the car, actually. Of course, she was with us for season 1. But she is kicking up a storm in W Series, won at her home race at Silverstone over the weekend as well, and looks all set to try and progress towards a further career in single-seaters somewhere. Just need to find a place for her.
So visor down for Gilmore. A little bit about temperatures. If it's 30 outside the car, it will be a lot more inside the car. Now, potentially less heat than an internal combustion car, because a lot of the heat that you get in an internal combustion car is from the exhaust running under the chassis, the engine directly in front of you, sometimes the exhaust manifold right behind the bulkhead. But, you know, electric cars also get hot. The electric motors get hot. The batteries warm up as they discharge, so there is heat coming into the cockpit in the same way in an electric car it would in an IC. What the temperature difference is, I don't quite know. I must say, I've not driven an electric competition car yet.
Yeah, I was going to say, anybody fancy it?
If anyone's up for letting me have a go, although I did drive an RX2 car recently, and that it didn't go entirely to plan. It was good. It was good while it was good. But yeah, so it will still be very hot in there, and you know, racing overalls. We've said this before, but it's like wearing ski thermals. First of all, you've got the underwear, that's one layer. Then you've got a couple of layer race suits. These guys will have the top spec race suits, which are much more breathable than the cheap stuff. But
I'm a bit chilly. You're making me feel lovely and warm. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it will be hot in there. It really will. And that's where fitness comes in, Jenny. Anyone who thinks driving a car isn't physical, particularly when you get into the bumps, it's extremely physical.
Emma got some decent air there in that McLaren as she works her way towards the switch zone. There are a couple of different lines as well when you come towards the end of this, and we could see that come into play when we get qualifying 2 underway, which will see 5 cars in each session take each other on for places through into the semi-final. But as you can see, Gilmore catching all the time. Really solid run from her, and I think they just wanted to get a little bit more track experience, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, she's gone quicker than Kleinschmidt or Hosas in both her sectors. She's just a couple of seconds off Christopherson in those as well. Late on the brakes get crossed up. New title sponsor for McLaren. They are now NEOM, McLaren Extreme E. NEOM, of course, the venue that we raced at in Saudi Arabia earlier this year. It's a tech city that they're building, which is...
all really super sustainable.
Yeah.
There's a lot of environmental research, and as you say, the scientific background to NEOM as well lends itself very nicely towards this kind of racing and the environmental impact always being monitored. So Gilmore, a little bit puffy, breathing heavily, which means she was pushing hard, and it's hot, as we've mentioned. I'll probably mention it a few times.
Yeah, did we mention it at all? So they're heading down to their switch bay. Tanner Faust is about to get in the car.
Tell you what, I wonder if you're watching this, let us know where you are. If it's cold, I want to know the coldest place that someone's watching this from.
Yeah.
Because it seems, it's quite hot at the moment. We're a lot of places in the world. So let us know. Use hashtag ExtremeE on your socials and let us know where you're watching in the world. It'd be lovely to hear from you.
In gets Tanner.
Say it louder. The rear end's pretty easy to lose.
Rear end a bit loose.
So Tanner said, say it louder, so he couldn't hear Emma over the fans in the car,
nor
which
could we.
which are cooling.
So that was pretty useful, actually.
I love how basic it is as well. You know, there is... Tanner's a lovely bloke. He's not polite. The point is you have no time. So the communication, say it louder. Emma then says, it's this. You know, keep it short and sharp. The communication needs to be super clear, and that's what they've got between them.
What it's like working with you.
Yes.
Say it louder.
Short, louder, louder.
And off we go. So out of the switch zone, full juice applied. And let's see what Tanner Faust can do. Keep it clean, don't end up upside down. Those are some golden rules in this championship.
Yeah, good shout.
Yeah. And number 58, labelled up quite nicely this year, so you can see what the car number is quite easily. Don't hit the rock. And get through this section cleanly. And I think this is the first section where Christopherson was absolutely razor sharp and seriously made up a lot of time. 10 seconds over the likes of Kleinschmidt, so there's a lot of time out there to be found.
There is, yeah. So Tanner at the minute, look, he's plus 12.03, bottom of your screen. Catching means he's gone quicker in that sector, but you have to watch out for that a little bit. Just keep an eye, basically, you want to see that number coming down, basically. The green in an individual section isn't the greatest indicator that he's catching, but 11.45 is. So back up to 12.06. We basically have a timing line at every single one of those waypoints out there. So it's we get constant updates on it, and now another second off. So Tanner's going to push hard here. Yesterday, Emma and Tanner were P3 in both free practice sessions. In the top 4 were the same 4 cars in both sessions in a different order, but that very much gave us our kind of favourites, which is the GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing, the number 99. They were at the top of the table in both sessions, and then you've got RXR, NEOM McLaren Extreme E, and Genesis Andretti United. Those were the top 4 in each session, Jenny, but in a different order. So, yeah, there were a few penalties, though, as you said.
Just coming through now to the Continental Traction 10. That's where they do the water jump, and all of this section could gain you some major points if you and your teammate can shine and perform and give us a really fast time.
I don't think we saw the a hyperdrive through there from Tanner, and I don't think we saw it out of the switch zone either. So is he saving it for somewhere later on the course? Can't get that gap down below the 11-second mark at this point in time.
Concentration so high. The back is loose, you can see it. That was the comment that Emma Gilmore made, I think, saying that the back looked loose, and it really does. So that's coming to the end of the sector, a 36.6. That's still 2 seconds off of Kristoffersen's fastest time that he's set through that sector.
Yeah, what's worth pointing out here is that the person who's done the time, which is outrageously quick compared to their equals, if you like, is Kristoffersen's teammate. Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski has put them so far ahead on the first lap that although Tanner is pretty much matching the sector times of Kristoffersen, now he uses the hyperdrive. It's going to be more difficult, isn't it, for them to close that gap down. So great job by Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski, I think. Look at the speed Tanner's carrying through here, Jenny, and that's why they've left it for there. It's a long, long straight. Late on the brakes out in the dirt. A lot of speed through the long left-hander.
Yeah, it would be fascinating to have the GPS tracking system and actually look at the overlays and try and work out where people are gaining, where people are losing speed.
Yeah, where they took a
Oh, no, problem for Tanner Faust. It looks like the suspension has gone on that McLaren. You can see he is fuming. Oh, just getting towards waypoint 22, 23, I think, and the clock's still ticking away. He was on a really storming lap, and you can see there Lena Gade. I tell you, it's warm in the command center as well, but that is not the way that he would have wanted to end that session. Oh, frustration.
That's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah, really frustrating for him. The recovery truck will have to come out. We don't have the long shot at the moment, so we can't actually see the car and the damage it sustained. The other car, which went front right suspension, was the Veloce with Waldridge in it. Ear wig in. Can't hear anything. Door comes up though. Seatbelts off. Game over.
After 2 P3s yesterday, it's disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, really disappointing. Clearly, they were in good form. Something about rolling it further down the track. Yeah. Ugh, what a shame. So let's have a look then at what happened for Tanner Faust in the NEOM McLaren. Just looking at the recovery starting to get underway. Here we go then, so the replay. Coming along, and
you can hear it. You can hear it behind the bushes, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah, you can hear the car dragging more than it should be. Front right went, unfortunately, big bush in the way, so we couldn't really see what was going on. But yeah, you could hear it just giving way. Frustration, yeah.
Look how hot it is in the command centre. You can just see, can't you? It's boiling in
Lena
there.
is glowing. She is glowing, and that's fine, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that Vodafone command centre, a hotbed of frustration right now for the McLaren team. That's not how they wanted the session to end, because they were doing a really good job out there. Tanner setting for the second driver, setting the second fastest time out there before the car stopped, ground to a halt. There we go, into race control. Scott Elkin, finger on the button.
Johan looks very fast, doesn't he, in that first sector, Jenny? Looking at his exit time, it was some 5 seconds faster for the exit of the switch zone to sector 1, and then Faust was within a couple of seconds of him in each of the other sectors. But I reckon still, we haven't got Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski's lap time up, but it'd be nice to have a look at that. Okay, let's head down and have a catch up with Carlos Sainz.
Carlos, a fast time for Rosberg X Racing out there, but issues for other cars too. How are you feeling ahead of your run?
Well, hopefully we can have a clean run, which is the most important thing in qualifying, quali 1, quali 2, try to do a settler time without big problems.
Are you concerned at all about the heat today? It is exceptionally warm.
Yeah, more than the heat probably is the dust. I think the second qualifying we are going to run all together, 5 cars, and this can be an issue.
And the course as well, just a word on it, obviously some changes from last year.
Yeah, it's similar and it's a nice course, nothing to say. It's, I think it's a little bit less difficult, less problematic than last year.
Great stuff, best of luck, thanks.
Oh, I so wanted Laura Winter to ask how his head was feeling after Sunday and if he celebrated the F1 win of his son or not.
Can I just point out that Carlos doesn't even have a bead of sweat on him? You know, everyone else out there's like, oh, it's so hot. And Carlos is just like, meh. He's even got his race suit on, Jenny. Did you spot that? Race suit on, it's boiling hot, not a bead of sweat. What is that?
looks like a snake.
Oh, so
no, it's little
I
lizard.
thought the same, yeah.
I thought it was a snake at first. I thought that was a brave cameraman.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go up to a snake.
Bits, isn't it? What's that?
Oh, look.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
On the way in today, Andrew said hello to a dog, made his day.
I think the owner was more chuffed, wasn't he?
No, you were the most chuffed with that
Well, I
circle.
probably was, yeah,
really.
it was good.
And so you should have been.
Yeah, I've got a dog. I don't know if anyone's noticed.
You haven't got a bird, have you?
Well...
Like a wild bird?
No.
I don't know what they are. They're very pretty, though. Black and brown.
It's kind of like a big magpie. Does that show us off as not ornithologists?
A big magpie?
Well, kind of similar colours, a bit dirty maybe from the dust.
I found it quite interesting listening
actually,
to...
if you do know, please do let us know, because in all seriousness, we'd love to know what it is.
I'm still waiting to find out where the coldest place is that someone's watching. We'll have a look at some replays in just a second and take you back to the action that we've had so far. So first of all, the McLaren with Emma Gilmore.
Yeah, Emma was looking really confident in the car, gritted teeth. She came in blowing a bit as she came in from the sheer physicality of driving these cars. The better the suspension gets, the irony of putting on things like the Fox suspension, the better it gets. Obviously, the more physical you can be with the car. She ran a little bit wide there and up the right-hand side. I think that was a glimpse on board of handbrake as well. Launched it out of those water splashes.
Oh, there's the X44. I'll tell you what, their livery, if you haven't seen it yet, it is looking really, really good.
There's a hint of it reflected in their monitors on the left-hand side. Yeah, the bodywork is outside. It's so bright outside, you can barely see the ultra-bright bodywork. At the bottom of the screen, a reminder there, the Anoa Hyperdrive. Once a session, each driver can activate a boost in energy for 4 seconds. We've seen it so far in the Continental Traction Challenge multiple times. Once off the line from Emma Gilmore and once on a very long straight towards the end of the run from Tanner Faust, which it looked pretty useful there to me. But I always like to see, we've had 1 or 2 tracks, Jenny, where it's obvious where you use it. And it's kind of not boring, but it's like, meh. Here,
predictable. You hate predictable, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Okay, 1 minute, everybody.
It's much more interesting when tactically there are options on where to use it.
Ah, look.
Dragonfly. We know that one.
Right, so Leo Sanz is in the car. You've already seen Carlos Sainz. He's still not a big fan of the racey bit, is he? He just likes going around, single cars, this bit of qualifying, probably his favourite bit.
It's that rally background, it's the Dakar in him, you know, but Carlos is a legend.
Did well last time out, getting 2nd place. So what can they do this weekend? They were a whisper away from the win. Wasn't to be.
30 seconds.
Winning again last time out, but I reckon they'll be really feisty this time. They know the course, they've done it before, they're confident, they're coming off the back of a podium, it's all set up beautifully.
It is indeed. Laya Sanz had some seat time recently as well. Last weekend she was in Sweden competing in RX2 E Series, which is a rallycross series, so she's getting some more race experience, which is going to be important for her later on today. Remember, Q2 will be racing 2 5-car heat races, and Laya gets the car off the line and up into this merge section. Multiple lines here at the minute. We're really only seeing the one line, and this is the preferred line. So if you end up at this point on the grid, you're going to be pretty pleased with that. Remember, Jenny, as well, last year we didn't have 5 cars rushing through this section. I'm pretty sure maybe only once in the final, but I can't remember because we had different numbers. Was it 3 or 4 here last year? We varied the number of cars, if you remember, in the final last year, and now we've got things a bit more sorted and a few more cars. We're having 5-car heat races and a 5-car final, so 5 into that gap is going to be even more interesting.
Yeah, it certainly will be. Yeah, it was 3 in the semis and the crazy race last time out, taking each other on. Sainz were up against that Cupra and RXR, so it wasn't easy for them, and they still did a decent enough job. Couldn't get out of semi-final 2, unfortunately. Hyperdrive on for Laya Sanz.
Yeah, another different location on the exit of a left-hander there. You're looking for places where you can deploy the full 4 seconds. Oh, nice little clip of the bushes on the inside. That's a proper Apex clip. Yeah, you need to deploy it all. You know, you don't want to be on the button for 3 seconds and waste a second of it, unless, of course, you're at a track where there is no option. There have been 1 or 2 places where we've struggled to see somewhere that you can get 4 seconds out of it.
Yeah.
I think the UK last year was a pretty good example of that. Everyone was ending up using it, weren't they, around the jump area. Wet and muddy and slippery. Not wet and muddy here this weekend.
Well, apart from the bit watery bits,
well, yes, the 2 water splashes there,
a little bit wet and muddy, but in a very different way to Dorset.
Yeah, Dorset was entirely, wasn't it? So another thing to think here, Jenny, we've seen two cars who've had an issue, both the front right. If I were coming later in the order, number one, you'd be doing a little check on those corners of the car and just seeing that there aren't any, anything that you might have missed yesterday in a re-prep after the free practice sessions. And two is you might be saying to the drivers, you know what, two people out already, let's not go 100%, give it 95 and try and save a corner of the car.
No full beans.
Depends.
Half beans.
Not half beans, that would be nowhere near enough. Nearly all the beans is what they're looking for, but
just don't bake your beans.
Yeah, it's whether you back off in the roughest section. So this section in particular, look, is pretty rough. I think it's the exit of here. There you go, good example. The exit of there is where Waldridge broke the car for Veloce. Now that's better. You see, that's got proper sprays across the windscreen wipers. I don't know if that's a mod or if they've just been a bit lucky with the way the water's deployed. We've seen people with some pretty poor vision on the exit of the water splashes. Not so for Laya Sands.
Yeah, they had some problems yesterday with waypoints, and both drivers almost missed waypoint. I think it was 20, I'm going to say off the top of my head. So they need to just keep an eye out and make sure they manage to get through those waypoints. The mark is all very clear, and you can see their traction challenge so far.
Yeah.
Prix.
So that's now the addition of both drivers. So that's Jutta Klein-Smit and Nasser Al-Attiyah are 0.27 a second ahead of Johan Kristoffersen and Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski. So that's close.
Nice bit of handbrake action there from Laya Sands, and she's looking fairly impressive. She's dropped away a little bit. She was good in the first sector, and then now, look at her, she's almost 10 seconds down. Of course, her time being compared with the first driver, so Arlen-Kotlinski, Al-Attiyah, Hansen, Gilmore. Those are the times that they're being set against.
And of those, Al-Attiyah was the quickest. The four fastest sector times are still with Kristoffersen and Al-Attiyah. Bear in mind, of course, track conditions will change all day, so it's going to get dustier and potentially, the holes could get bigger as more dirt gets pulled out. That's one of the things with, where you are in the qualifying order can make a difference to track conditions.
Yeah, last car out will be X44, who have aced it when it comes to qualifying, top qualifiers across every race, I think.
Yeah, this
but
year
they
and
will
last
go out.
year.
Yeah, they will go out last. So that's something to watch out for. Still to come, Andretti United, the number 99 Chip Ganassi racing car, Excite. As I said, X44 rounding it out, but he's switched zone time. A bit that Sands and Sainz have said they don't enjoy so much, but part of the racing, it's what you have to do to excel. They're in switch bay 2. Let's see if they have a little word with each other. Any messages given that can help us? No words at all. So Carlos Sainz getting himself ready. Lai goes around the other side. Just trying to help out with getting those belts on. They're not, racing belts are not easy, whatever vehicle you find yourself in.
No, they've had to change the regulations with this as well. So you may remember last year, first of all, we started with one set of belts. Then some of the teams put 2 full sets of belts in some cases in different colours. So they knew one was for the male, one was for the female driver, because, of course, they're different heights. They sit higher or lower or further forward in the seat with the seat inserts. What they've come to an agreement on now is that you can have 2 crutch straps. That's the submarine belt that goes down through the seat. And the reason for that is you can't adjust that belt once the seat is in the car. So from a safety point of view, it's much better to have that belt in there. Let's head down and have a chat with Laya Sands.
Laya, big puff of your cheeks there. How was it for you, that run?
It was good, after the second run yesterday that was with some little problems. I'm happy. I did some small mistakes, but the important today is not to do a big one, because it costs a lot in this kind of track that the difference will be really small. So yeah, let's see Carlos. I'm sure he will do a great lap.
We'll let you head to command center. Thanks.
He's absolutely flying. He is not taking a breath with this at all. He is hungry for a quick time out there, and he's absolutely going for it. You can see the time in green shows his catch. It was 14 seconds, now 11, but he overshoots that marker, has a little pause, gets around waypoint 3. That's going to be crunch point when they're all racing, and it deploys the NOAA hyperdrive to get that extra boost of energy to try and really bring that time down as they head towards the Continental Traction Challenge section, but still some way to go now. Mark 5, the section starts at 10, but he's carrying lovely speed here, Andrew.
As always, all bit sideways there on the exit, flicking the car around through the right-hander. Okay, so that's on purpose. He's headed off to the side of the track to give himself a little bit more entry angle into the corner. And the minute this would put them P2, would look at the commitment over the crest, knows exactly the line he wants to be on. Handbrake there into the right-hander. You could see him just reaching down, locking the rear wheels, and that'll just allow the car to rotate a bit, and he's now 8.37 off. So Carlos Sainz is pushing really hard here. I'm just checking the timing screens to see if he's gone quickest in either sector. He hasn't yet, but he is closing that gap, Jenny.
Yep, really nicely. Into the Continental Traction Challenge then. Let's see what he can do, catching all the time. And his time is being marked against that of Johan Kristoffersen, who set the fastest time out there. And it'll be fascinating to see what they can do, how the two compare.
He was 2.1 off Johan in sector 1, but we've already said Johan's time out of the switch was outrageous. It really was, wasn't it? But we're waiting on the sector 2 time to see whether or not Carlos has gone quicker. It looks to me like he's up and down. He was down to 8 at one point. He's back up to 9.4 now. So the sector times which we have on the big timing screen up in front of us, 2 seconds slower than Johan there. So they're currently P3, but I reckon this will see them... No, this is going to see them slot into, I think, into second, Jenny. If he's only 0.9 down at the minute, the gap back to Abt Cooper was 15 seconds at the end of the run. Yeah, there we go. Live position moves up to P2. That's what we thought. So Carlos Sainz looking to slot the Acciona Sainz machine into second place. Remember, points up for grabbing this session.
Yeah, we have sort of points given out today, and those can lead to the order for tomorrow, work out where people are going, which semi-finals. This is it's an amalgamation of the fastest times today.
That's one of the points where that front right is under the heaviest loading, so they're coming in really fast, going late on the brakes, turning through the long left-hander, and just putting that corner under a lot of strain the whole way through. Should be fine. I wonder if it's going to be something that's been clipped earlier in the run, you know, with Veloce and McLaren. Did they have something which we didn't see? And look at the commitment through here again. Sainz is absolutely on it.
It's almost like he can't get all 4 wheels down enough because he's going so fast. It's so impressive to watch.
I'm so pleased they've modified the cars, Jenny. You can see the drivers are able to attack, and that's what we want. You don't want them having to hold back because they're worried about the rear of the car bucking up. Look at the shunt that Sarrazin had here last year, massive. They slot into second place, 11.89 down. RXR still lead the way. That's a great run from Acciona Sainz.
Yeah, really lovely flow to them. No wonder they've gained confidence getting that podium last time out. The two of them just working so well together. Such a great team to have out there on the grid.
Fastest sector times are still with Kristoffersen and Alatia, so they didn't quite get there.
Surprised at that, actually, watching the final sector, the commitment coming from Sainz.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing in it, Jenny. It's 48.0 for Alatia in sector 3, 48.5 for Kristoffersen, 48.8 for Sainz. So we got 0.8 of a second separating those top 3 drivers in sector 3. Just to give you an idea at home of how close it is. That is the closest sector at the moment, but yeah, they're pushing.
Certainly are, and it's absolutely great to watch. Just taking a little breath in the Vodafone command centre. You can see the Andretti United team getting ready to go.
Well, just a word there with Nasser Al-Attiyah. Jutta, you were saying there to Nasser, just obviously not quite happy with your run there. What happened?
I think I took it too easy in some places because yesterday I spinned twice and I had not so much confidence. I think the car is much better now because we changed setting, but I don't want to spin again, you know, so I took at this places a little bit care, so now we have to increase.
Yeah, now it's sort of full send for Q2, isn't it? Keeping on the limit, of course. What have you learned out there ahead of Q2 in terms of how the course looks, a few changes this year?
Yeah, it feels different, but we also have the new suspension, you know, so it's difficult to say, and they changed a lot on the course, so you made it flat on many places, and I think they did a good job on it. it's a bit shorter than last year. So, yeah.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Johan, first out this morning, how was it?
Yeah, it was a bit tricky, but I had a very good run, and I have to thank the team because we had some small issues yesterday, but today the car felt very, very good. So I managed to just drive at my pace and try to make a good, clean run for Q1. So yeah, let's see.
And what did you learn looking ahead to Q2 as well?
We have to look at the other guys. I expect there will be some track evolution from now on, but yeah, depending on if we are fast or not, we'll see if we'll learn or not.
Thanks, Johan.
Thank you.
RXR for us to take a look at. Down through the water splash on board.
I love the dual
Okay,
camera,
everybody,
actually.
1 minute,
It really
1
gives you a
minute.
good idea of what they're doing out on course, but also what they're doing inside the car. Look at Johan's hands just rocking around, left, right, and then just trying to keep a hold of that wheel so that he can control the car as much as he possibly can, but also giving it the flexibility. Just look at it, amazing input from Johan Kristoffersen. Really impressive. As the dust comes up behind, this is the extra water jump, so prepare to see almost nothing as you go through it. And then onto the other side. Actually, that wasn't as bad as I was expecting. He must have managed to dodge that water a little bit there. So good stuff from Johan. And the Rosberg X Racing team once again seeming to be the team to try and beat.
Arlen Kotlinski's super confident at the minute. I just think she looks so comfortable in the car. Johan, we know, champion at the minute. No Molly Taylor this weekend. Shame not to see Molly here. Of course, she was with JBXE last time out, but deciding not to come to this event. She's got some other projects on the way. This is Timmy Hansen, Genesis Andretti United. Good stuff from him.
So the action getting underway, and it's Andretti United out on the course, and it is, of course, Timmy Hansen taking the wheel first off. It'll be Munnings who gets in afterwards, and you can see windscreen wipers already on, nowhere near the big water jumps yet, but maybe they just like to leave it on. We saw it a little bit last time out, actually. They had electrical problems, didn't they, when they were turning them on and off, so maybe they've just decided the easiest thing to do is leave it on for the whole time. That would annoy me. Wouldn't it?
I guess.
It would annoy me even more if I was the car in front, looking behind, seeing them with their windscreen wipers on. I find that infuriating. It's dry. Come off.
Yeah, I remember last year, people were talking, weren't they, about whether or not this was a solution to a little electrical gremlin, which is, it's funny what people get into their heads might be the issue, but yeah, most of the teams seem to be doing a similar thing. Hansen pushing hard, handbrake in similar positions to other people. Trying to look for those sector times. Not got one just yet.
It's a long first sector, actually. It's a really long first sector, all the way to waypoint 10, which is up here at the start of the Continental Traction Challenge. So it feels like forever till we get the first time. And that's why it's such a big difference, because it's such a long sector compared to all the others. There's really a huge amount of time to be made up or lost. Hype drive deployed for Hansen, looking for a fast time to try and get those extra 5 points.
The points are so valuable, Jenny. You kind of think, don't you, why would you not use it in there on every lap and just try to get the Continental Traction Challenge points anyway? At the minute they're in P2, 1.81 seconds off. So Timmy's up against Alatia's time, isn't he, on this first lap? Oh, big, huge kick from the rear end again, through the water splash now and out. Got to try and keep the car straight there. We've seen a number of people go sideways on the exit from that water splash, and then not able to get on the power, and there's a considerable straight after it, so you're actually better to sacrifice the exit speed from the water splash a little bit to make sure you don't get one of those big sideways kicks, then have to lift and go back on the throttle again.
Yep, absolutely catching at the moment. You can see the gap, 2.24, and they're just trailing away a little bit. So sensitive, this data that we're getting. You can see where they are now. Position second is what is expected. So Hansen just looking towards the outline, waypoint 21. There's some really different lines as well coming into this section that you can try and take just to try and give yourself a boost. It'll be fascinating later when they're racing around here, because you can't take your preferred line, but this is the ease-in, isn't it, qualifying one. Get yourself into the best line possible and then know that you probably won't be able to take it later unless you're leading.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You won't have a lot of choice. This section here is fairly wide, isn't it? But then if you look at the line you want into gate 26, that's the previous section, but it funnels in and through here, this is going to be one car. I'll be staggered if anybody gets alongside to there. Normally, of course, that means they immediately will, Jenny, just to prove us wrong. So that's fine, because it would be properly exciting if they do.
Absolutely. So coming towards switch. Takes a little bit of air there. Nicely done. And then hammer on the brake. Down to 30 kilometres an hour. 30? 40.
40, I think, yeah.
Apologies.
They've made a modification to the pit limiter as well, the switch limiter, meaning that it doesn't, over 50 kilometres an hour, it won't activate. So there was a couple of times last year where people hit, when they were driving the car, they hit the pit limiter. So now it won't activate unless the car is going under 50 kilometres an hour. So they'll know then that they're coming into the switch zone.
Umbrella being held, that's very nice.
Yeah, it is,
Katie Munnings. I need someone like that in my life. I suppose that was my husband, really.
I'm sure,
Doing him a disservice.
Jamie would be over the moon to hear that that's his new role.
I'd do the same for him, it's fine.
So in gets Katie, seat into, I wasn't sure if they put one in or not there. Normally...
Yeah, I think so.
Belts on. Plus 4.56 at the minute would see them into P2, but remember that Sainz was on an absolute mission on that second lap. He was pushing so hard. Timmy Hansen taking the balaclava off. Meanwhile, Katie waiting to hit the drive button. Got to wait that full time. They can't go early. If you go early, you get a penalty.
45 seconds feels like forever right now.
Shows what a good switch they did, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So let's go down into the switch zone. Laura Winter there for us, reporting all the action this weekend. And I think she's going to catch up with Timmy Hansen. I hope she's found herself a place under that umbrella as well, because Laura is getting a little warm running around after us all this race.
Well, Timmy, out the switch zone mighty quick there between you and Katie. How was your run?
It was a good run. Yeah, you know, solid, hit all my marks, and you know, good clean run. So I'm happy with that. You know, it's only Q1. I had actually a long week, so we have this race, but also the weekend's race. So I got to play it smart, I think. But yeah, it was a good lap, and I'm happy with that.
You're in amongst it times-wise as well. Axel Sainz and Rosberg X Racing both looking quick this morning.
Yeah, but some guys are quick, but some guys have also been out, so it's completely about that balance. But yeah, as I said, I had a clean run, and I'm happy with that lap. So gotta just hope the best for Katie now, that she comes through clean, and we have a good Q1 session and can move on through the weekend.
A good start. Thanks. All the best.
Yeah, clean session, that's what's needed, and you could hear there that Hansen was saying it's getting the balance right. You want to go fast, but you want to stay in the game, which means keeping it clean. You don't want a suspension issue, you don't want a puncture, you don't want to wreck your chances really by having a big off at this point.
Everybody wants to be top qualifying. You always want the best points for everything. You want the best grid positions you can get, etc. But yes, it's measuring that risk through the course of the weekend. Right now is not the time to risk it for a biscuit. You do that in the crazy race when there's only one position to go in the final. Yeah, put it all out there. Why not? But not necessarily during qualifying. Genesis Andretti United were P2 in free practice 1 yesterday, and then P4 in free practice 2. So they've been right up there all weekend. Well, all week. Remember what day it is.
Sorry, you're going to have to forgive us. You're going to get irate. I get that. We're sorry. Don't get irate. Like, Hyperdrive is go for Munnings as she's in the Continental Traction Challenge section. She wants a fast time through here because I think this is going to be her best opportunity. She needs to raise her game a little bit, I would suggest, to try and bring herself up to Hansen's speed when it comes to this Continental Traction Zone, because it's a combined time now. So both of your drivers have to go out there and set a blistering time if you're going to want to get those 5 points.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at this last year and go, right, who who was your money on for traction challenges, and you would always have gone, you know, it was Hansen, Christopherson, Kyle LeDuc, wasn't it? Ekstrom, you had a list of people.
Taylor would have been up there, Molly Taylor.
Exactly, but you knew that there were some drivers who probably wouldn't have risked it. It was more about lap time than it was about Continental Traction Challenge time. That's why they changed the rule, so both drivers now have to. I think it's cool. I think it's good, and you're going to see drivers having to risk it maybe where they would have played it safe before. Now nobody can play it safe. That's the point, really, is you don't go, well, I can't beat Johan, so let's play it safe. You go, I've got to go for it because I've got to beat everybody else out there.
Takes two to tango, as they say, and in this game, it certainly will. As we say, it's the consolidation of both of their best times across the course of the event. If I use event, I can't mess it up.
So far, this is a great drive by Katie. She's under 10 seconds back. They're in P2. Acciona Sainz were 11.8 back at the end of the run. Now she goes down to 9.15. So Katie's pushing really hard here. Remember how hard Sainz was going on his second lap. This is a great run by Munnings.
Yeah, really impressive form as she comes down towards the finishing line. She'll know this bit is important. You need to get it right. Turn it into the left and make sure you get perfect positioning.
Carlos was really committed through there, and they've dropped down to P3 at that point. If you remember, he came over the crest and we saw just how committed he was, and that's what's going to make the difference, is those little tents here and there. They're dropping to P3 at the minute, but this is still, as I say, this is a brilliant run by Katie anyway. And we're seeing the form guide pretty similar to free practice. Actually, Acciona Sainz had some issues yesterday, didn't they? They got some penalties. Of course, they both missed the gate, didn't they? Meaning they weren't up there in one of the sessions at least.
Yeah, quite a lot of penalties handed out yesterday. They didn't have it for this team, though. They had a little software issue, but I tell you what, she goes into third, 13 seconds off, and a really good time set by Andretti United, considering they had issues yesterday as well. You can see that Hansen just watching on in the Vodafone Command Centre, assessing everything. So analytical in the data that he wants to try and process.
It's really promising, isn't it? They're only 1.2 off the time of Acciona Sainz. At the minute, the gap to Rosberg X Racing is quite long. Johan spoke about track evolution. That's interesting. I think he's right, personally. I think potentially that ultimate time earlier in the day, a little bit of dampness about, there was a bit more traction potential. You're seeing a bit more dust, and you're seeing the course, of course, will also cut up, Jenny. You're going to get ruts, which are just going to mean a little bit more of a bounce, a little bit less traction out of some of the slow corners. So it might have played into their advantage this morning that they were first out on course.
Which they didn't really need any extra help.
No, they didn't. They're very good, aren't they?
Absolutely terrific form. I tell you what, some people that do need a little bit of helping hand this weekend, it's Price and LeDuc. They'll be up in a moment, but they desperately need some good luck. I tell you what, thank you so much to everyone getting in touch on #ExtremeE. Natalia De Vivo watching from Brazil at the moment as we watch the water jump and the amount of water that's kicked up when Hansen goes through it in the Genesis Andretti United. Loads of you getting in touch as well. There's some pretty cold places you're working or you're watching from, working and watching. Ben McEwen is in Dunedin at the moment in the south of New Zealand and says it's pretty cold there, but is cheering on Emma Gilmore at the moment. And Anna D saying it's just 17 degrees centigrade where I am in the Netherlands. Probably the perfect temperature for wearing a racing suit, but I enjoyed the warmer weather last weekend much more.
Fair enough.
There we go.
Yeah.
Keep getting in touch with us. We love your messages, keeping us company here in our slightly colder than I would have liked commentary box.
Sarah Price at the wheel last year when they had a huge lead.
45 seconds.
You could have measured it with a candle. It was such a long lead. We were convinced that they were going to get there and get the result that they were looking for, and it didn't work out.
No, the number 99 GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing Team.
15 seconds.
15 seconds to Scott Elkin. They need some good fortune, don't they? They really do. They've got 12 points in the championship. A reminder that RXR have 30 points. So it's time to do some catch-up.
You heard Sarah clack the pedal down to the floor there, didn't you, as she went off the line?
Have they taken an alternate line, or am I just making things up in my head?
Oh, I've no idea,
I think
Jenny.
they have taken an alternate.
I'd say we're looking at the time 1.14, not sure.
I just got overexcited potentially. I'd like to see the restart from a long shot again. But using hyperdrive off the line, and there will be plenty of different lines for sure later on when we have the cars qualifying 5 cars at a time.
I think you might be right, because the rock on the left-hand side of the screen there, she approached it from the left rather than the right. That was the one we saw get clipped yesterday, so I think you might be right. So whether or not they've taken a line there based on where they think they'll have to go from their start position later on today, I don't know, but it's, yeah, not sure. People will be, I say, there aren't many opportunities. You had 2 free practice sessions yesterday. There aren't many opportunities to try the alternate lines off the start line. Having said that, yeah, this session counts, so you don't want to do something which is going to cost you too much time, because you're getting points towards your qualifying position.
Yeah, you can see handbrake being reached for, just a little blip at turn number 6 and waypoint 6, and then we continue on. Dusty, getting dustier as we go through. Little bit of air there. Lovely driving from Price. She is amazing to watch. I know she's been kept busy in between the last round and this. It's been a long wait to get back into these Odyssey 21s, but really enjoying things out there. And you can just see, I love that shot. You can really see the undulation, you can see the wet patches, you can see the dust.
Good pace at the minute. They're +5. She's +3 a few moments ago. Through that first water splash now. You can see on the virtual map where the Continental Traction Challenge goes. Bottom right of your screen, also the Anoa Hyperdrive activated by Sarah Price. Then about how much speed you can carry through that left is actually pretty critical, Jenny, because for me, you're only getting about 3 seconds out of the hyperdrive. If you brave through the left-hander, you could maybe edge it out a bit further, but you're going to pay a price if you get it wrong, because the bushes are not far from the edge of the track. Hook a wheel on that, and you get a Sarrazin moment like last year, and we saw that. It's like it hit the eject button on the car, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a big old smash for Sarrazin and the Veloce.
Yeah, I think Veloce probably the most familiar team now, aren't they, with rebuilding cars? Is that fair to say?
There's a couple of them, but yeah, I think that is fair to say.
Sarrazin twice last year, wasn't it? And then, of course, Christine GZ.
Yeah, they had some big ones. They definitely had some big ones. Price here, steering inputs, you can see, lovely 4-shot. The drone just playing catch-up to try and keep up to speed with Price, and some beautiful shots being created just over the jump. Little bit of air there, but there's so much input to the steering wheel. I wouldn't have expected that much.
Yeah, there is. This is the difference with off-road compared to circuit. You know, even a straight, you're making tiny adjustments all the while. Look at the movements in the wheels. It gives you a good idea of how much that car's being moved around. So loose surfaces, of course, your tyres aren't tracking straight necessarily. So yeah, watch her along the straight, and here, just little, well, quite big inputs, not even little inputs, quite big inputs all the while. Obviously in the corners, huge inputs, but on the straights, nearly all the while you're making tiny adjustments.
Their rear end seems really loose. I think it's just generally across the board, and maybe that's what you want. Maybe you don't need to dial it in too much, and you want the rear end to swing around with you a little bit more so that you can play a little bit more out there. But
you want rotation on turning. You know, if you don't get the car rotated in, that's going to cause you problems. But also on the exit, you want traction. So it's a fine line. You're going to have a car that turns in brilliantly, but then on the exit you have no steer, you have no grip. So you're balancing the two. How much traction do you want on the throttle compared to how much turning you want? There's all sorts, although the cars are all the same, there's all sorts of little adjustments they can make to the dampers and to the geometry on the car that everybody can make if they know how to do it to get things adjusted.
Right, into the switch zone then for Price. She will hand over to Leduc. At the moment, they are 7th, which I would say is a little surprising. I would have expected them to post a slightly faster time. So I think they're in conservation mode. Not just in the Extreme philosophy, but also when it comes to that car and just keeping it on track. Potentially, they're just...
I'll try to remind you out there, too. I'll remember it,
I just wanted to...
Yeah, don't forget to something he said. I'll try and remind you out there.
Maybe drink?
No, not on a short run like this. They may have one, but you won't need it on a run like this. So you can see the reason they're looking to the right is there's somebody at the front of the switch zone who's looking for the lights which are on the windscreen, which tell you when the car is in neutral. It has to be in neutral. The Duke pulls out the seat insert, jumps in.
Ooh, I like his helmet.
Carl Leduc is wearing the championship driver's race suit. So I wonder if his race race suit's gone missing. Maybe no, it's got big. Do you see? It's different to. Unless no, maybe he's got the opposite colour scheme to Sarah Price. Do you see? It's completely different race suit. It's got the big Extreme logo on it.
Uh-oh. What's he thinking?
Hands up in the air.
Like you just don't care.
No.
No drive?
He's got a problem for the Duke then.
Reset.
Shaking his head. Oh, no, no. Unluckiest team in Extreme E.
That is fair to say, for sure.
100%. Come on.
And Price wasn't aggressive with it. She wasn't overly...
Oh, this is an electrical, isn't it? Like, but it just seems checking the cut-off switches on the roof. So the technician's just gone and checked the cut-off switches, all three of them. There's one on the bonnet or the hood, as our American friends call it. He's checking them all. Do you remember last year in Senegal?
Yeah.
Went under a tree and the branch pulled the cut-off on the top when they were on for a top qualifier time. Kyle's doing a full reset inside the car. Sarah can't believe it because it's just not fair. Come on! It's July the 4th the other day. What? Come on!
You were right about his race suit, by the way. Apparently his luggage is stuck in Chicago.
There we go.
And if anyone's travelled anywhere recently, if you travel with your luggage and manage to get it back, I'll be amazed. Haven't heard many people do that. Oh, look.
Unbelievable.
Back in?
Yeah. Fuck, motherfucker.
Excuse the language for that one. Probably not what we ideally wanted at this time of the day, wherever you are watching, so apologies for that. But clearly, Kyle Leduc a little bit upset with the car right now, and slightly understandable. The GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing Team, number 99, just beset by issue after issue after issue.
They won't retire the car unless they absolutely have to. So if they can get it going again, they'll go, because obviously a finish time, even if they're 20 minutes behind everyone else, there'll be a limit for us. Where
Right, hang on. Running out, running back in. They're only allowed to have one extra person, aren't they, in that switch zone? So you're limited to what you can do with regards to mechanics, engineers, and which member of your very small, is it 9 in the team, are you going to bring in to try and help you get this car restarted, to work out what the issue is? And look at the heat haze.
At the minute, it's the man with the laptop, I would suggest, is the one who's having a crack at it.
Sarah taking her helmet off now. Such frustration, but I do like his number 99 helmet with the stars, the red, white and blue across the top. Yeah.
Sarah Price is just stood there, isn't she? What's Kyle pointing out? I think he's pointing up to the cut-off switch on the roof.
Yeah, he was just trying to work out what to do and giving Kyle a little bit of instruction, but you can see how painful this is for them as they just wait.
They're setting one record here, longest ever switch. Not the one they were looking for.
Do I need my helmet on? Okay.
Okay, we're going to have a chat. Laura Winter, anything but wintry out there, but we've sent her into the zone to speak to
Sarah's gone
Price.
back in. Sarah's gone back in as well, so both drivers and technician are allowed around the car, so she's gone in to double check something. They can't find it.
Ryan, we have a BMS error. I power cycled the battery, that did nothing.
So BMS, obviously we don't know what that code means without looking at the I did actually at one point have the manual for the car. That was last year at some point. Maybe
That was quite thick.
It was a fair old read. I'll be honest, I didn't read every page of it.
I'm going to guess S's system.
Well, yeah, B maybe battery management. I mean, what should we go? Battery management system. If we're right, we get a prize. But they said they've cycled some. So cycling, this is going to sound daft, but it's switch it off and switch it back on. So
We've all done it.
They're restarting the software.
No fault in anything else.
Tell you what, Coley, you're going to get a prize.
Am I?
I don't know what it is, but battery management system.
Brilliant.
You were right. Well
Maybe
done,
I'll
you.
buy myself a beer later.
I'll buy you a beer.
Oh, thanks, mate.
That's all right.
It says fault on.
Mel says, this team is so unlucky. Reminds me of all my transport.
Sarah Price, this was earlier on in the run. Look how good it looked. I mean, okay, the time wasn't quite there, but that wouldn't suggest this kind of a fault. So frustrating. Electrical faults are hard to trace. Yeah, you break something solid. Yeah, yesterday, App Cooper broke a couple of drive shafts. You know, that's fine. That's easy. There's the broken drive shaft. Unbolt it, bolt another one on. It would still have cost you a ton of time out on track, but an electrical fault will take a little while longer to locate, unfortunately.
Just sleeping, watching from Albury in New South Wales, Victoria border in Australia, and it's 6 degrees centigrade where they're watching, so that's pretty chilly. And Charlotte watching from the Lake District in northwest England whilst working on my latest novel, Let's Go Team McLaren. So bad luck for Hammer. They'll be hoping to get that back on track as soon as they can.
Seb, a mighty quick time from Rosberg X Racing, a couple of other teams with suspension issues out there. What have you made of what you've seen so far, and what have you learnt from it from your run?
At the moment, we saw that for sure there were some suspension issue. We tried to see from where it's coming, but we didn't really understand. So we didn't learn a lot. We will try our best, and we will see. I think the grip was quite good at the beginning. Hopefully we don't lose too much at the end. We'll see.
How much of an advantage is there to actually going out last in terms of how you're seeing this course evolve?
Honestly, I'm not sure it's an advantage because it was a lot of dust decks in the morning on the track, so it makes like a glue on the top of the track. So difficult to say. I don't think it's a big advantage. Hopefully it's not a disadvantage. I think it should be quite fair for everybody.
Thank you. Best of luck.
Sebastian Loeb there, and this, Katie Munnings for the Genesis Andretti United team. She was second out in the car.
Out the switch zone, mighty quick there between you and Katie.
And she was mighty quick out of that switch zone. It felt like she was waiting for ages, but 45 seconds, that's what she did, and then she managed to get the car going.
She raced RX2E last weekend up in Sweden as well, so recent seat time in an electric race car, albeit very different in terms of handling and surface.
It's really great to see the crossover now of these drivers getting chances in other championships coming on. It's really opening, I think, the door for a lot of opportunities for a lot of people, which is so important. It's, you know, one of the fundamental reasons for this championship, and it's great to see. You can see there Katie going wide out right, trying to stay out of the bigger ruts on the left-hand side, but is that the best approach? I'm looking forward to seeing Loeb and what he does, because he normally does something a little different to everybody else.
Slippery on the exit of that right-hander there. Still some dampness in between the two water splashes. And Loeb saying he thinks conditions will be pretty fair for everyone. There's the second of those splashes. Watch the rear of the car through here. Katie keeps it nice and straight. It's actually that second bump, isn't it, that's the issue. So you come back down into another compression. So you've only just recovered from the first bump, hit the second one. We saw, I think it was Laya Sands get super sideways in there. And then you have to wait to get back on it. Lovely drone chase here. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, so good to see. So the right-hander up the little hill. This was here last year, but then you've got the revised and modified section where they go a little bit wider. A really good run. This is a replay once again of that water splash. Windscreen wipers on all the time. Doing a really good job out there for Munnings.
Well, not ideal for Hammer on this one. Technical issue for them when Sarah Price got out the car. Let's hear from her.
Oh, Sarah, we're so gutted for you. You seem to have just no luck at all. What can you tell us about the issue of the car at the moment?
Honestly, we have no idea. There was no error codes when I came in. So the moment I put it into neutral and we did the driver change, Kyle got in and it was throwing a software code. So, you know, it's unfortunate. I don't think it's inflicted. So it's something with the software. I don't know. Hopefully Spark can get it figured out right now. But, you know, it's a really horrible thing.
How frustrating is this, especially after the bad luck you guys have had last year as well?
Oh, so frustrating. It's crazy. It's just like right now is an error that like we haven't seen any car just stick in the box just because of this. So I don't know. I guess luck just wants to haunt us. But, you know, I think we're doing the best we can in the driver's seat, and that's showing. But now we just need the results so it can continue to keep showing. And, you know, people around the world can see that, you know, we mean business. But fortunately, things aren't lining up. And hopefully this is just something that is one-time thing. So.
Oh, we've got Carl here as well, just bringing you in. Carl, Yeah, I can see how much this means to Sarah and how frustrated she is. What were you seeing in the car? Can you tell us any more than Sarah just has, which was basically you have no idea at the moment?
Yeah, we have a major, I think it's a major battery fault. So as soon as I climbed in, I saw a BMS warning on the dash. And no power steering, no noise from the car at all. So it was dead as soon as I climbed in it. So I don't want to say out of our hands, but this time might be out of our hands. So just a huge bummer. She had a good lap. We just needed to get a lap in and try to get to these finals. So we got some work to do.
Work to do before Q2. We're gutted for you. Sorry, guys.
Oh, so gutted. Loads of you getting in touch as well. Vivian Strebelo says that hurts for Sarah and Kyle. How much bad luck can one team have? What a shame. Jamish getting in touch saying as well, bad luck again for that team. It's just...
You can hear it in Sarah's voice. That was the thing. There was a couple of times there where Sarah, to me, it just sounded a little bit emotional, and so she should, because they've been really unlucky, really unlucky. So if it's a major battery fault, they may have to change the battery on the car, and I don't know how much of a job that is, but I do know it isn't a small job. So can they get that done in time for Q2 later on today? If they can't, obviously they're going to be straight into the crazy race tomorrow, and that's going to hurt their odds of making it through to the final. But let's see. Let's see. The Chip Ganassi Racing team will be flat out on that. Kyle said it's kind of out of their hands. It's not a prep issue. You know, it's one of the things which is the same on all the cars.
Yeah, you can see the eco icons new for this season, and all of them signify a different way in which Extreme E is helping to try and help the environment. So you can see the battery zone with the NLX Way chargers. You can see that there's a lot going on within this paddock to try and make it the best. And Andrew, we've got the Excite team coming up next, but the one that I think you would benefit from the most is bring your own bowl policy. You have to bring your own bowl, and then you have to wash it as well.
Really?
And but listen, it's saving 250,000 individual items going to landfill.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
You've bought a cup.
Yeah.
You're doing your bit.
Oh, but yeah.
Will you wash your cup up?
Oh, yeah.
Jobs are good then. Let's go down and find out what's happening with Timo Scheider. He was championship driver. Now, it's a little bit different for Timo.
Well, an issue, Timo, at the moment for Hummer EV. Of course, we've seen issues as well for McLaren, other teams too. How are you feeling ahead of your run with so much going on?
Well, to be honest, it's a pity for those guys. They've been quick quite often and haven't brought it to the end so far. But yeah, now of course I'm focusing on our car. It's just on the line with Tamara now, so we want to bring it to the end, of course.
Great stuff. Good luck.
Thank you.
Timo, good guy, isn't he? And now he's got his opportunity to shine as well. A lot of the championship drivers, the female championship drivers, have had an opportunity to work their way through and now have themselves a proper race seat. Look at Kleinschmidt. She was the first of our championship drivers to get pinched.
Then Molinaro, of course, when Clara Anderson tested positive for COVID in Saudi. So Tamara Molinaro got in. Clara's now back this weekend, but she's now doing Tamara's job. She's the championship driver this weekend. So as Jenny said, the girls have had loads of opportunities, haven't they? Poor old Timo. He's built all these tracks, hasn't he, and not had the opportunity to play on any of them. Okay, everybody,
so 1 minute, 1 minute.
He'll be looking forward to this.
This is just having a quick look at all the cars coming through that splash zone. Waypoint 10 going into the Continental Traction Challenge zone, and you can see some of them taking it in quite different ways, I suppose. It's fascinating to really analyse the different lines that they're taking, the different ways that they're coming out of there, how they apply windscreen wipers, what sort of wipers they've got, how effective they are. I love it.
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Oh, rear end kicked up a bit.
So finally, cars back on track. Just a little pause there, I guess, while they get the Hummer EV out of the switch zone. There is Tamara Molinaro.
15 seconds.
So she runs first for Excite Energy. Ollie Bennett focusing on his Nitro Rallycross program, so handing the seat over to Timo Scheider.
Car looks good.
I'm really excited to see what Molinaro and Scheider can do together. Yeah, I am genuinely excited to see this pace. Right, let's have a look and see where she goes. So what's the favoured line? We think it's that left line, don't we? But to me, I'll tell you what, Jenny, the right-hand side looks flatter and faster than it did last year. So I would suggest we will see alternate lines, because if you get beaten into there, you might as well try something else. Remember last year, I think it was actually Ollie Bennett who went an alternate line, but unfortunately missed a waypoint in the end, ended up with a penalty for it.
Yeah, it looked good until it didn't look good anymore,
yeah.
Unfortunately for him. But yeah, Tamara, I'm delighted Tamara's got a real chance to go out there and shine. I think she really deserved it. She's done all sorts of competing, hasn't she? She was ladies champion in 2017 in ERC, and this is an opportunity with lots of rally experience in Italy for her to come and bring that through and develop. I'm not expecting her to be the fastest out the block because she's not had enough seat time, but this is a great opportunity.
Yeah, she's a very accomplished rally driver, and she did well in Saudi Arabia, if you remember. This is that left-hander where they get right in close to the inside line. At the minute, 3.4 seconds down. You want to, you know, not lose too much time on this first lap if you can. Line position says P9, but at 5 seconds back, they would actually be P2. So that's just where they are on this lap, remember. Yeah, they've got a lap and 3/4 still to go.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful little bit of air. That was done so well.
I love the concentration face on drivers. You know, Katie Munnings has got a good one as well. Emma Gilmore, you know, Petter Solberg, Francois Delacour, you know, people that Delacour used to pull on the belt. Solberg always looks like he's chewing his tongue off. The concentration face is brilliant.
What
you
was
see
yours?
some people who look super charged. I don't know. Jenny, I've never had the luxury of an onboard camera, or very rarely anyway.
You raced in the wrong era. Now everybody's got onboards.
Yeah, I know.
Even go-kart is taking their first step. So into the Continental Traction Challenge zone then for Molinaro. She will be having some fun in that car, but as you say, concentration. Oh, that is skinny, that bit. Then definitely going to be single file through that section. There's just no other option unless you go rough road in it.
The dust isn't too bad though, which is nice. So when the point to which they are single file don't, except when you come through that left-hander through the bumps, that's going to be tricky, definitely.
It's really rocky and rolling, but there's not much water left in that jump now. So the benefit maybe for Loeb and Gutierrez, who have still got to go in the X44 car, is that they can get that exit better than everybody else because the visibility is going to be better.
We saw this last year, didn't we, here and in the UK, where the water splashes are deep at first, but then obviously as the water exits, it gets spread over the road on the exit. So then you've got more loss of traction as you come out from the bumps. So a bit of a mixed bag with water splashes always.
Liking this though, 12 seconds down, losing a little bit more time towards the leaders at the moment, but using the hyperdrive.
This is where Faust used it, isn't it? The long straight. Bit late though. Maybe. No, managed to get through okay through the left-hander. Slightly wide of the line. I think Tamara would have wanted to be on. So maybe earlier on the hyperdrive next time.
Yeah, that boost of power, getting crossed up there. The boost of power just almost looked like it surprised her a little with the reaction that the car had to it.
Yeah.
So in the traction challenge, you can see 3.37 seconds off our lead time up there at Cupra set that. Remember, it's a combined time now between both drivers, so we'll get a proper gauge of that only really when Scheider goes through, and he will probably be blistering. Scheider setting the second fastest time of anybody yesterday, just as an inkling to what you can expect when he gets in the seat. Should be good. St. Helena in the background.
Oh, Tamara left that late, didn't she? It doesn't get any later than that. It is 30 in the switch zone, Jenny, you're right.
Perfect entry, if you ask me.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you want to try and do.
Important. So thank you guys.
So something at the start of the run which was doing something a bit strange, she said. Here is Timo Scheider.
Oh, race overalls. On point.
That's not the colour, is it? For, you know, that's for
Why is it you have such bad fashion sense?
Jenny, no, you're misunderstanding the point.
What's happened? Go, go, go. Okay.
It's dirt and mud. You know, you race drivers, you circuit drivers, you can go with your white race suits and your white jeans in the pit lane. You get filthy. But yeah, Scheider's looking cool, isn't he?
I think he rocks that. That's absolutely fine. Now, this is the point that both of them will need to do some practice work because, OK, Scheider has been the championship driver, but that doesn't mean that you do the switch. So coming into the switch and actually doing a racing switch, holding for 45 seconds, releasing, it is quite different. But you can see there Tamara just helping to put the, what is that, catch cord? What do you call that? Netting?
Yes, the net down the side. Basically, that's there for if the door comes off and a big shunt to stop.
You call it a net, do you?
Yeah, it's a door net. Yeah, it's a door net, literally. And it's to stop. So if the door comes off in a crash and your arms are flailing, it's to keep your arms inside the vehicle, basically. It's quite common now in sort of off-road motorsport.
Do you see Tamara there clapping, just so excited?
Good.
The whole adrenaline surging through your body at this point.
It's
Going
great
up to
to
the
see.
30-second board, sorry, the 30-kilometre board, where you can deploy full speed. So Scheider is away. Molinaro is going to watch this excitedly, I would imagine. Right now, she's in the switch zone with Laura Winter.
Tamara, seat time so valuable for you coming into this championship. How was it out there?
It was tough. I hit something in the very early stage of the course, and I thought it was something a bit funny, but maybe it's just my impression. So I had a clean run. Hopefully Timo will have the same. And yeah, yesterday we had a bit of bad luck, and let's hope it's out of the way now.
What have you learned heading into Q2?
Just flat out. I mean, that's a reality. I have to go faster. I have to keep to have more confidence. You know, when you don't have so much seat time, is not so easy. But you know, we are here for this, and so we'll try to make it happen.
Thank you.
Molinaro saying she knows what she needs to do. She needs to go flat out, needs to go faster, and it's not easy, and it's not. Scheider sideways through the left-hander. Timo Scheider attacking big time. You were on board there as he got the car fully sent into the left-hander, pushing as hard as he can.
Brilliant to see, isn't it? Because he's up against the likes of Kristoffersen and Sainz, his second driver, and you get a really good gauge of exactly where they are out on track, of how hard they're pushing, of the different styles. And I tell you what, Scheider is ragged but fast.
He hasn't had much seat time himself recently, so hasn't done so much in the last few months. I think he did a 24-hour race, which obviously is a little bit different to this. So Scheider not had the seat time like Molinaro, but certainly both of them pushed as hard as they can straight onto the NEOM hyperdrive through the traction challenge.
Yeah, it's a nice straight bit, isn't it? As long as you can get out of that traction challenge.
At the minute, they could be on for P2 here at the minute. So the P2, remember, Sainz and Sands for Acciona Sainz were 11.8 off. At the minute, Timo Scheider and Tamara Molinaro 14.7 off. So they've only got to find 3 seconds on this lap. At the minute, they'll just slot into P4 behind Genesis and Trent United and ahead of Apt Cupra XE. But they could potentially slot themselves right up into P2. So we follow now on the drone Timo Scheider through the left and the right here. Watching him pick his line, flick the car back again the other way, moving it around nicely. They've dropped a bit more time. 16.7, now 15.7 coming back, so there's still just 3 or 4 seconds off P2 potentially, but it could be P5. You know, there is nothing in it. 2-3 seconds is the gap between P2 and slotting into P5.
Looking so good out there. Really impressed with Scheider. Just taking it really wide there, just to carry as much speed as he can onto that straight. Give himself every chance. Round 23. Ooh, there's a little bit of over-rotation, but I quite like the style.
It's Craig Breen in the command centre.
Who he?
Craig Breen, rally legend, competing with M Sport Puma Rally 1 this year. Yeah,
Rally
brilliant.
is your world.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, brilliant driver. Father Ted fan as well. And yeah, he's a good guy. So him and Tamara in there.
Good knowledge, by the way.
Well, there you go.
So coming towards the finish line. Oh, it's a rocking and a rolling, but what is this time going to be? Where is it going to place them? Molinaro teaming up with Scheider for the first time for the Excite Energy Racing team. They are P5, 18 seconds off the pace.
So the key there really is the 6 seconds between them and Carlos Sainz. So from P2 back to P5, there's just 6 seconds in it. So it is really close. It's just tiny little margins. It's little errors here and there.
1 minute, 1 minute.
But then if you look at the time of Kristoffersen and Arlen Kotlinski for RXR, they're 11.8 seconds up the road. But there is one car still to come. They're the undefeated top qualifiers of the world. Sebastian Loeb and Cristina Gutierrez for X44 have taken the TQ spot at all 6 Extreme events so far ever. Can they get in front of RXR? Remember, this won't decide the grids completely, won't decide the top qualifier point right now because we've got more racing to come later on this afternoon, but it's a good indicator. So a job for X44 to do, and Jenny, they're right at the other end of the road conditions.
15 seconds.
RXR were out first, X44 out last.
Yeah,
Can they get it done?
They said that they didn't think it would have too much of an effect, but this is the time we'll see. So Loeb first in the car, Gutierrez taking to the car second. So eyes on the light, it goes green, away he goes. Sebastian Loeb in this beautiful car, new livery for this weekend, Lewis Hamilton's colours that he used at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. He was on the podium. Not a top step though. Oh, the car is sideways there. That is getting a lot of angle.
Yeah, Loeb's committed straight away. That's exactly what we'd expect from a 9-time World Rally champion. Sideways through here again. Oh, I love a maximum attack run, I really do. 0.92 of a second down at the minute would obviously see them right up the leaderboard with RXR, but they've both got to get a clean lap in.
You were never going to get anything different with Loeb. I'm interested to see the lines that he takes, because we have been able to see Loeb at times going for a different proposition.
It was his alternate line here in the Continental Traction Challenge last year. He ran the car off really wide out across the dirt, and I think we'll see him do that again here. But let's see if they're up for that. Maybe wait and use the hyperdrive here. And at the minute, they now move into P1. So they 0.3 of a second up. Now back to P2. It's going to be live the whole way around the lap, but it's just a good indicator. This is on, Jenny.
It certainly is on. Just look at what Loeb is able to get out of this Odyssey 21. He just looks supreme. That tinted visor, almost unable to see any part of his face, really. Just a little window into the mouth and lower part of his nose, but he applies the handbrake, squeezes the car around and through this rocky section with hedgerows on either side. The bushes there just waiting, calling to you.
Safari rally for Loeb recently, very similar conditions to this in places, so a good experience for him from that point of view. Not that he needs any more experience. Is he going to use the hyperdrive in here? Wait for it. He does. So right on cue, Loeb moves out across to the Loeb line from last year. Now watch how much speed he carries through this left-hander, because this is the key for me. And he's lit through there, runs the car deeper than anybody else. Look across the dirt on the outside and carries the speed through the right-hander all the way to the bushes. Loeb absolutely flying. That is Sebastian Loeb all over.
Little bit of bodywork, rear left just fluttering around. Aerodynamics, not such a big drama, I suppose. That'll probably come off. You're not going to get the black and orange flag around this course at the moment. You're absolutely fine. Just push, push. Ah, it's come off anyway. Leave that bit alone. Pick it up later.
So at the minute, the X44 does go fastest in the Traction Challenge, but remember, this is just one of the drivers. Actually, it's both drivers added up together, so that just shows you who's done the quickest
look
one.
At the rear end of that, even more bodywork coming off. I wonder if that's just contact, but it looks like it's interfering with the rear right of the wheel. Yeah, puncture. The rear puncture has gone. The bodywork has pierced the tyre, so rear right, and he's still trying to drag the car round.
I think it's the other way around, Jenny. I think the tyre's taken the bodywork off. I think that's what's happened, and he's flailing, so the car, because the tyre is completely gone.
He needs to try and get it back, but this is an absolute mess. He can't afford to park it up.
Yeah,
he's got to drag it.
They'll get it back. So so there's 3 DNFs, remember. So you've got Chip Ganassi Racing, Veloce and McLaren have all not finished. So they'll get this back, they'll change the wheel, and they'll go out again.
I would take it slower than Loeb is, but I think that's just a general rule for me in life. Take things slower than Loeb does. I just don't want them to damage their suspension, because at the moment with that tyre flailing around, the rubber, well, it's not rubber, is it? Because it's made of a different compound, but it flailing around, he's just got to take it really careful, get the car back.
Listen to it on board. You can hear it.
Yeah, flap, 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 flap.
Yeah, that's the onboard noise now. So they've got the jack out. So the rules for the tools they're allowed to use, they have to be commercially available. So you can't go and get yourself like an F1 style wheel nut gun, which you've made in a workshop, which is ultra fast. It has to be a tool which is commercially available. There's a normal jack, and you're going to see a normal nut gun. And Christina is going to have to help with the wheel change. Now, Loeb will be ultra fast at these. Him and his co-driver will have practiced them from rallying. Yeah, he could get a wheel change done in under a couple of minutes.
Look,
easily under a couple of minutes.
There's nothing left now on that drum. It's just going round the... Oh, my goodness me.
I just wanted to see full send for the whole run. I can't believe we've been denied it.
I just can't believe how fast he's going still. even though he's got no tyre on the rear right.
No, that's fine, Jenny. He's barely committed at this point, is he? Look, you know.
It's amazing.
He's adding to the bills for the team with bits being flailed off the car.
Lewis is fine. He's got a little bit of cash in his back pocket. He'll be able to afford it. But look at the damage that's been done to the bodywork. So they'll try and find the jack point. They'll lift it up. They will be able to change that tyre during this switch. 38 seconds down with a puncture for, what do you reckon, half a lap?
Yes, so your best bet here obviously is for Gutierrez to jump in the car and get belted in. Loeb will help with the wheel change, so she may well carry a nut gun out to the wheel, but I think you'll find Mechanic and Loeb will change the wheel and she'll get in the car and get herself belted up and ready to go.
I would not do that. I would let the guys just try and get the car up in the air without my extra additional weights being in the vehicle.
I'm pretty sure she'll jump in. Let's see if she takes anything out with her or not. Just the seat insert. So have a look in the rear here. There's a sneaky peek at the Fox shocks. So there they are. They're bypass shocks. You can see the one with the spring and the one without, and then the little tubes that come off and face up and down. Those are your bump and your rebound. So when the tyre is going up or down in the suspension stroke. And the width of those, then there's a screw in them. Kyle Leduc explained it to me, bless him, top bloke, about how it works. So there's a screw in each of those little external tubes, which you put in or out, and it allows the oil to bypass. So the shock remains soft at that point, and then when the piston reaches the top of that tube, it gets stiffer again. So it's a big modification, these Fox shocks. So on all the cars, there's the nut gun, look, Sebastian Loeb. Now, they had a problem last year where they couldn't get the rim off. They're going to try it. No, not again.
Well,
do you remember?
The problem is he's driven on it for so much of the time that the rim may well have moulded itself a little bit because of the damage in. So that's what you do. You get a lump hammer, you whack it, and you try and see what's going on.
It's not even a lump hammer. It's the nut gun. So don't damage the nut gun. He won't have anything to do it back up with. They had this problem last year. It's off, finally. So now they're trying to get the other wheel on as quick as they can.
Oh, look at that. You can see
the
amount of damage it is. Loeb's still handy, isn't he, when it comes to changing a tyre?
It'd be under 2 minutes in a World Rally car, which is a different setup to this, but it would be under 2 minutes, and that's from getting the car out of the boot and back in again, strapped back in. Look at where the tyres rubbed on the suspension arms at the back. There doesn't look to be any more physical damage to the car than that to me. The rear uprights are another thing which has been upgraded on the cars this year.
Yeah, I'd be ripping. Apologies, I'd be ripping off that bit of bodywork.
So look, so Sebastian is just putting them on with the finger just first of all, then you run them in with the nut gun. They'll drop the jack now, lift and twist, and that'll drop the jack down.
Yeah, just pull. If in doubt, whack it out. Done.
Loeb finally gets the jack out. They're good to go. Go on, release her. Let's go, let's go.
You've got to be out, so everybody needs to be out of that switch zone before they can go. She's obviously in neutral. I think your bits of car can be in there. Now she can go. So that's the release point that they were looking for. Loeb, I think, did a great job. If you ever have a flat and you've got his number, give him a call.
Easy man you want pulling up in the old van at the side of the motorway, isn't it, when you've got a problem, been sat there for ages.
Yeah, absolutely. Clearly the time is going to go very long. There we go, 1:56, but most important, they got back out.
Oh, Seb, gutted for you. Talk us through what happened there as you saw it from the car.
I had a puncture. I don't know where or why, but maybe it was a jumping left-hander corner. Maybe it took off the tire from the rim, I don't know. But I don't know more than that.
A fair bit of damage to the car as well, certainly the rear bodywork coming straight off there in the puncture in the tyre change.
Yes, for sure. When the tire is destroyed, it destroyed a bit of the body shell, but that's not the problem. The problem is the time we lost.
Thank you. Let's see what happens now.
So Loeb saying he thinks the tyre was pushed off the rim because normally certainly a driver of Loeb's calibre with his amount of experience will know if he's hit something. So he would know, I hit a rock, I saw it, I felt it. He didn't. And so he thinks probably threw a left-hander over a jump. So if you imagine then you're turning left, that means all the pressure is on the right-hand side of the car. You then land with a bit of an angle and you push the tyre off the rim. So it's not, strictly speaking, it's not a puncture. It means you push it off. Continental issue the teams with a minimum tyre pressure. So they will have been running that as well, and they're just a bit unlucky. You know, he was pushing really hard, Jenny. That's what happens sometimes when you're on the limit.
It's funny, isn't it, the difference between luck. So they've had bad luck and it's cost them 2 minutes, let's say. However, bad luck for the Chip Ganassi team have cost them a time, full stop. So amazing that the team could work together at X44 and get this car back out. It might not look as pretty as it started, but that's okay. Just drag it round, get a time on the board, and with 3 non-classified, you're pushing yourself up the order.
So have have a look at this. We think this might be where the puncture was. It's already slight. Yes, there. You saw twice. You saw air come out twice, actually, as a puff. There was a white puff as it came out from the rim. So he's gone through 2 compressions on the right-hand side, just pushed off the rim. That's the way it goes. Now, of course, the switch zone, Jenny, there's a minimum amount of time which they have to stop for anyway. So actually, with the wheel change on top, he came in 38 down, and we think they left 1 minute and 56 behind. That's pretty good, really. It means they only really lost a minute and 20 compared to the normal switch zone time.
Yeah, really, really impressive, is that what they can do out there. They're used to it, of course, with rallying backgrounds. It means you're used to repairing whatever damage there is to your vehicle.
You can do without it when it's 31 degrees, I can tell you that much. It's, you know, don't forget, Loeb didn't have time to take his lid off, so he's got his helmet, his balaclava on. Just get it done as quick as you can. I think they did brilliantly, I really do.
Yeah, Gutierrez in the car now. The time just stretching a little. Yeah, you can. Those are the alternate lines, so you can go left or right through that section. Really wide waypoints. We've seen most people go left. She's gone right to just take a different line, the alternate through the ruins. And there's where it meets up again.
Importantly, the rear right corner of the car seems to be in one piece, because bear in mind that Loeb pounded that without, obviously, the tyre. So the tyre actually gives you a huge amount of suspension in itself, you know, especially when the tyre carcass is as big as these are. They compress a little bit, and that takes out some of the bumps. You run that on the rim, and you put in all of that force through the suspension instead. So the car's holding up pretty well here. Gutierrez just needs to get it round. They're going to go P7, of course, because of the 3 cars that retired. So that's why it's important for them to finish the run. And, of course, that's what Sarah Price and Kyle LeDuc were hoping for, is even with a bunch of lost time, they would still have wanted to just finish the run. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work out. Same for McLaren and Veloce.
Yeah, Gutierrez out there, though, looking pretty impressive. You can see those are the qualifying positions as they stand at this point in time. From qualifying 1, qualifying 2 goes off later. And they take the finish line. Amazing that they even managed to get there. They slot in 2 minutes and 7 seconds behind the lead time. But I tell you what, most important, they managed to get that car by hook or by crook across the finish line. Well done to that team. They reacted fast. Loeb went far faster than I would have gone without any tyre left on there. But he is the man who knows how to do this. And it was really impressive to watch. Well done to X44. So just bringing the car back, and there'll be a bit of bodywork that they'll have to do and fix before qualifying 2, but as you saw, more cosmetic than actual mechanical, so they got away with that.
Yeah, they might well change those components anyway now, Jenny. You know, having known that they've put that corner of the car through a lot of extra stress, they'll certainly take the time to pull it apart, have a look, you know, see whether or not they want to change anything like hub or drive shaft on that corner, maybe even damper, and just as a precaution. But it depends on the team's own plans and how they want to do those things.
So let's take a look at the results from qualifying 1. In 10th place, disappointment for Waldridge and Christine Giese. She didn't get in the car, unfortunately. More bad luck for the Chip Ganassi racing team and for McLaren. 3 DNFs.
Yeah, and a shame as well, because we know how quick those teams are. Look how close it is further up the leaderboard, and you can see. So particularly here from Molinaro and Scheider in P5. Look, plus 18, plus 15 for App Cooper, plus 13 for Genesis Andretti United, plus nearly 12 for Acciona Science. It's so close, Jenny. But the winners at Q1 are Arlen Kotlinski and Christopherson for RXR, and their rivals X44 have had a bad run. So will this be the first time that we don't see X44 on the TQ spot, or will they pull something out of the bag in the racing portion of Q2 later?
Of course they will.
They'll try.
Of course they will. Be fascinating, as you say, so close out there. Let's go down to Laura Winter again. She has got another interview lined up for us. You can see a very busy paddock at the moment. Let's get amongst it.
Well, Rosberg X Racing are quickest. We're going to just move because we are going to have to get the car backed in, so we're moving just a little bit out of the way. Christina, how frustrating was that? You did all you could to try and salvage it, but of course a puncture cost you dearly.
Yeah, it's a very sad moment, because we tried to do our best all the time, and again we had bad luck. After the puncture, I only want to go to the sector 2 to try to go as fast as possible in sector 2. And then we'll see. Still the second qualification and a lot of moments still, so I want to do our best all the time.
Still time to fight. Thanks so much. Best of luck.
Interesting what Gutierrez said there, because of course we know that Sebastian Loeb on the first lap went quickest in the Continental Traction Challenge. He had the puncture after that. Gutierrez has gone out and gone, you know what, I'll gun it in there as well. So they might have rescued 5 championship points, even if the rest of qualifying was a disaster. Great tactics.
Yep, absolutely. And actually, Gutierrez sent a pretty decent time as well. So good stuff from the team there. And you can see the St. Helena, which transports all of the Odyssey 21s, the scientific lab on there as well to do all the research. Looking resplendent, I think, just in the water off Sardinia.
I like the message on the side as well. Not electric yet, you know, they're working on it. Grid play right inside the screen. Look, apt Cupra X here at the top of the list there. Nasser Al-Attiyah and Jutta Kleinsmith getting all the votes, doing a great job, and that'll give them an advantage in choosing where they want to be on the grid if they make the final.
Which I think could be all important, because remember, we go racing later on for qualifying, and then tomorrow more racing for you as we see who will walk away with this NEOM Island X Prix win under their belts.
And then Saturday and Sunday, more racing. So we're doing it all. We're doing it twice this week. If you weren't aware, this is round 2, and of course we've got round 3 coming up at the weekend as well. I think Sardinia is going to be absolutely critical in deciding who wins this championship.
Yeah, at the moment, 30 points is what Rosberg X Racing have, but they'll be looking to get more. Can anybody beat them? That is the question. Make sure you come back and join us for qualifying 2 later on today. Thanks for your company.
Drive now.